Yeah, I figured there would be. All right. Pull the script up here.
I said yabba dabba doo. Now we say yabba dabba hoo.
Is that going to be your intro?
Yes.
All right, you ready? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai. And joining me tonight, I just have our czar of source material, John.
Yabba dabba doo. Now they say yabba dabba hoo.
Bless Joji. Bless Joji. So tonight on the podcast, you and I are going to be talking about something that I think is near and dear to our hearts, but isn't specifically about anime or manga. It's more of an otaku culture thing. And that's this idea of AMVs, or anime music videos. And more specifically, we wanted to talk about some professionally made and produced AMVs that we have seen and we like, and like what kind of makes them good as compared to maybe a amateur produced AMV. But I guess I'll start out by saying what makes a music video an AMV, because people throw that word around AMV all the time. So I'm like, what does it mean to you personally, John?
Well, technically speaking, it's just anything it has anime and it's a music video with anime pictures. I remember at SoccerCon when I went with Marcus way back when, they were showing like AMVs in an AMV contest, right? Mm-hmm. And it was actually pretty packed, and there were a lot of good AMVs in there. You don't necessarily have to use, for one thing, a lot of AMVs. I'm sure people have come across this, right? If you're on YouTube, if you like anime, you'll see AMVs crop up from time to time, and usually they're not that great. It's just like they use anime like scenes, fight scenes or stuff like that, and they'll add a song in the background. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be like a Japanese song. Sometimes a lot of people use American songs.
Yeah, most AMVs, especially those that you see at AMV contests at conventions, and most conventions now have some form of anime conventions have some form of an AMV contest at them. Most of them you'll see will pair anime with Western music.
Yeah, because it's just a weird clash. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's weird to me because I honestly I don't like a lot of Western AMVs, like American songs on anime, because they don't fit that well. But some of them are done really well. Like in the amateur ring. We're not talking about professionals, but we're talking about the amateur ring.
Yeah. I forgot where I was going with this. I was just listening to you talk. Yeah, and that's something else that I think that a lot of people have come to question. Like originally, like back in the 90s when AMV started, it was specifically like anime music videos, but AMV has sort of come to mean just animated music videos, like animated in general. Because if you go look around, there's tons of like Disney AMVs now.
Yeah, that was so in our little 30-minute session of research before, because we needed to pull links and stuff.
It was a little bit longer than that, but yes.
Yeah, and like the 45 minutes, that we took to research, because I was looking for a specific AMV that kind of inspired this topic in my mind that I haven't seen in years, but it's super amazing. I saw a lot of Disney ones, and I was like, I didn't even know this existed. Like, what? It's crazy.
Yeah. It did, and they certainly do now. And it's gotten to the point now, I think, where the line between what makes something amateur and professional is beginning to be sort of blurred a little bit, especially because now professional tools that used to be out of the price range of a lot of people now are a lot cheaper and a lot easier to come by. So even amateurs can get access to very professional tools.
Yeah, and so before we were talking about this, we're talking about Joji. Just saw him on an episode of Kenny Beats the Cave, And Joji talks about how he makes his music with GarageBand, that starting kit that you get with Macs. And it blows my mind that someone who's gone into the professional ring uses GarageBand, but it just goes to show it's not about the tools, it's about the craftsman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you
It is.
don't need professional DAWs to make fire fucking music. You don't need all these drum kits to make some dope ass beats, all right? It just takes inspiration and hard work, man. And some people with talent, they're just that amazing.
Yeah, and it takes two things, I think. I mean, it takes talent to make good music or good anything, really. Yeah. But it also to get it out there and to become famous, you also have to have a little bit of a personality behind it, I think.
Oh yeah, like obviously, like you want to put passion into your work. People can pick up on the passion you put into a project.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the AMV that we had to spend like an hour looking for. Is the one that inspired me about this topic, which is it's just MEP crossover. It was a video on Nico Nico Doga I saw many moons ago, like 11 years ago now, that I was just like, yo, this looks fucking sick as fuck. It introduced me to anime, to different animes that I've never seen. Like there's the first one, I believe it's Karas. I've never seen it.
That's something that a lot of people I've talked to have said over the years, that if it weren't for finding an anime being shown in an AMV, they may never found that anime. I was that way with an anime called Birdie the Mighty. I never would have heard about it, or probably would have eventually heard about it, but I never would have watched it when I did had I not seen it in an AMV.
Yeah, because what's really cool about these AMVs is a lot of people like to put like the hype moments as the cutaway scenes, right? And in this crossover one that I watched, MEP crossover, what did MEP stand for? Multi-editor?
Yeah, for those that may not be like, super into AMVs, MEP or MEP stands for Multi-Editor Project.
Yeah, so in this MEP project, MEP project, what the fuck? In this AMV, this amateur AMV, it shows a bunch of different action sequences and animes. It also has like 5 centimeters per second in there, and it matches the mood of the song. And it's really good. It's unfortunate that I can't find a version that's higher than 360p, but it inspired me to like look up more animes that I saw in this in the video, and even the song Salamander by Ella Garden. Like this turned me on to Ella Garden before they broke up in 2011. I want to say they broke up in 2011, but it introduced me to more J-rock, and I was like, this is awesome. I love this music. Like, I love this style. And I loved everything about it. Like, it was amazing. And it blows my mind that amateurs did this. Not paid professionals. People who just have time and had a passion. They're like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make a sick-ass MEP AMV. And it was great.
Yeah. And that's probably the biggest distinction between, what we're going to talk about here in a minute is, so amateur AMV creators have to, unless they're really, really good or they have a team behind them of equally passionate people, they have to use already established assets. They have to use scenes from, anime that are out there to make AMVs. Whereas on the professional level, they don't necessarily have to do that. They can make their own original, content, their own original assets, and then use them however they want to suit the music that's being played.
Yeah,
and I think that's probably the defining difference between a professionally produced AMV and a amateur AMV.
Yeah, because a lot of the amateur ones, like you will see a lot of amateur AMVs on YouTube anywhere, right? That just use like the same fight sequences that we've all seen a million times from like Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, like a bunch of action scenes. And they'll just
the only real
music.
Difference between them will be how they're edited together.
Yeah, and there's some talent in how people edit them together. Some people don't really put in that much effort. They just play the scene and play the music over it, and it's very low effort. But there are professional ones where they have animators. They have a staff. They can animate however they want. They don't have to use the assets that are there. Like they don't have to play that scene. However, this is where the line gets blurred because the MEP crossover that I'm referring to, it uses all the same scenes from the animes, right? But it pulls a lot of the scenes and adds them into different areas to make it flow better with the song, which makes it seem very professional. Like all the scenes that they use are just already produced. They just change the filters, added different fucking what's that thing called when it transitions? They add different transitions, and it looks really well done.
Yeah, especially the one you showed me.
Yeah, map crossover.
Yeah, like you say, needs to be not in 360p.
I wish it was from 2009, man. What do you want?
Yeah, I know. When the internet's tubes were only so big.
The internet tubes were crazy for 480p back then.
I know, right?
720 was HD. Can you believe that?
But kind of transitioning into the professional area. I mean, there's some of this that I think people probably over the years have heard about, but if you're relatively new to the anime space, you might not have, which is also why we wanted to talk about this too. Because something you and I recently watched that I think definitely falls into this is a anime film on Netflix called Sound and Fury.
Yes.
I think you and I both watched it around like between Thanksgiving and Christmas last year.
I watched it like a couple days after it was put up on Netflix, just because I was like, oh hey, look, an anime thing, and it's called Sound and Fury, and it has like samurais and like hot rods. Like, oh shit, let's go, dude. Like, what? I'm down. And then I watched it, and I was surprised, first of all, because I knew nothing about Sound and Fury. I've never even heard of Sturgill Simpson prior to this, and it blew me away because I was like, this is very like crazy. This is country music, first of all. If you don't know Sturgill Simpson, he does country music, kind of country, like pop country.
Yeah, you have to. I think you have to put giant quotation marks around the country
the
music.
Country.
It's electric country music, is what it is.
Yeah, he does his own style, but it works really well for the for this AMV, honestly. And it looked really good, and I loved the music, and it reminded me of one of my most favorite animes of all time, Interstellar 5555.
Yes, that's another one I definitely want to talk about for sure.
But for Sound and Fury, when I first saw it, I remember I was on the Discord. I was like, hey, you guys need to watch this. Like, it's kind of crazy good. Like, it's kind of crazy that this another American, like, another Westerner was like, hey, you know what would be really cool if I had anime for my music? And I was just like, yo, let's go. The future is now.
Yeah, and the movie itself, I believe, is done almost entirely, or it may actually be entirely done by Kamikaze Doga, who is probably most famous, at least currently, for the work they did on the OPs for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Parts 1, 2, and 3.
And also he did the Samurai Ninja Batman? Was that what it was?
Batman Ninja, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Batman Ninja. He also did that.
Batman Ninja.
So it's in the same art style as that.
Yeah, and it was directed by Junpei Miyazaki. I think that's how you say it. Miyazaki, yes. But yeah, it's like a, if you're into that music, and I can understand why this music might not appeal to a lot of people, but if you're really into this kind of music, if you're into like really, I don't even know what the fucking word would be, synthetic country music, synth country,
synth country.
Definitely give it a try. It's on Netflix. I don't see it going away anytime soon because I believe it was partially funded by Netflix, so it'll probably be there for a while.
But Sound and Fury really reminded me of Interstellar 5555 in the fact that Sound and Fury is actually a fucking album, a full album, and they made an anime entirely around the album.
Yeah, and there's no dialogue whatsoever. It's just the music. That's the only sound you hear. I mean, there's also some sound effects thrown in, but that's all you hear.
Yeah, but it tells a story, but with music, and it's fucking great. And unlike Interstellar 5555, it's not cohesive. Sound and Fury has there's different stories for different songs. There's some songs that link together and some stories that link together, but for the most part, there's three different stories that are being told throughout the course of the album, and then there's like an attempt to sort of link them together. Yeah, it's like three different. What's that freaking Babylon? It's like Babylon, where there's like how different people in different parts of the world are affecting each other with different things that happened, and then it all coincides and like it all led to this one thing.
Oh, you mean the movie Babel?
No, wasn't it Babylon or is it Babel?
Babel. If you're talking about the movie, I think you're talking about you're talking about Babel.
Yeah, the one that was like Crash.
Yes.
Okay, then Babel. Yeah, I was like Babylon. I don't remember, but like Crash
Which
and
is by the way, that's a fucking fantastic movie. Well, Crash is also a fantastic movie too. You should watch both of them.
yeah, I just remember that it reminded me of that when I watched Sound and Fury, because it's like there's basically 3 different settings and they take place in different times, but it all links together at the end.
Yeah.
But
you mentioned Interstellar 5555, which is probably one of the more famous examples of a professionally produced AMV, very long professionally produced AMV.
So it uses Daft Punk's Discovery album, and it uses every single song. But what's different about it is that every single song that's used paints a continuous story, which is super crazy in my mind. Like, it's super great. I love... If there ever were any perfect anime, it'd have to be Interstellar 5555, because it's got a great story and there's no fucking words in it. No one talks. But
you get a great sense of the story, not just from the visuals, but from the music.
Yeah, and it works and it melds so freaking well. Like, this is like what I would hold as a standard of, if you want to make a professional AMV, you look at Interstellar 5555.
Yeah. Interesting to point out, the company or the animation studio that produced this was Toei Animation of Dragon Ball Z fame, or just Dragon Ball fame, I guess I should say. And it came out the exact same year that the original Full Metal Alchemist did in 2003.
Its animation looks like it's straight from the 90s.
It does.
Not gonna lie,
but that's not really a criticism. Like, it looks good. Like,
it still looks
a 90s
good.
anime,
Like,
it looked really good.
It's got good colors. I just love the music so much. Discovery is Daft Punk's best album. Fight me on that. Anyone else in the world, fight me on that. But yeah, it's just, what else can I really say about this professional AMV other than it took a lot of effort to make it this good? Like, how do you make a movie based on just music? You know, and there's no dialogue. All it is we're going to listen to these songs, we're going to feel emotions, we're going to put some pictures on the screen, and then you're going to know the story. That's insane. It's it's so creative.
It is. And the fact that, like you say, without any kind of dialogue whatsoever, that a cohesive story was able to be told that runs through the entire length of the movie to me, it's the height of creativity.
Yeah, and that's why,
when you can tell a cohesive story with zero dialogue, that is, to me, the height of great storytelling.
Yeah, and I'm just going to go rewatch it again. Best anime in the world. Anyone can fight me on that. You're welcome to come.
I know for a while it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there.
I don't know. I remember watching it on the high seas when I was a little babby back in middle school, I want to say.
So mid-2000s?
Yeah, I watched it in the mid-2000s. Then I rewatched it again once in high school because I was like, oh yeah, I remember watching this. And it was just as good.
Yeah.
It was just as good as I remember.
I don't know for a fact, but I believe on the original run of Toonami, not when it came back a few years ago, I believe they showed this entire movie instead of actually showing new episodes of stuff. They showed the entire movie with no commercials.
Yo, that'd be super crazy.
For that block of Toonami 1 week.
Oh, man.
I don't remember when it was, but I distinctly remember watching it on Toonami, and that was where I watched it.
Dude, hats off to whoever decided that, because that's an amazing idea because of how amazing Interstellar 5555 is.
Mm-hmm.
But another amazing AMV, and this one's an actual AMV, so it's not kind of a movie / AMV. I want to talk about Shelter.
Now, yeah, that's something that a lot of people, especially if you're newer anime fans, would probably be more familiar with, because that was back in 2016.
Yes, end of 2016. Everyone knows about Porter Robinson. Everyone knew about this song, and it blew the fuck up because it is, first of all, Shelter is animated very beautifully. I loved it. There is a bit of dialogue in it towards the end. Or actually a little in the beginning and then a lot more dialogue at the end, but it's like what, a paragraph maybe at most?
Yeah, it's basically just a little bit of narration essentially.
Yeah, so it's an entire story where we get to see the scenes of something happening in the main character's life and just the song Shelter playing over it, and it is fucking great. It's a lot of emotion. And the point, like how they meld the points in the song with the highs, the lows, the drops, and stuff like that in Shelter with the emotion that's happening on the screen, it's phenomenal, man. Like
Yeah.
storytelling without words is just so crazy to me.
Yeah. Also worth mentioning, so the Shelter was done sort of as a collaboration between, Porter Robinson, Madion, who's a French DJ, and A1 Pictures and Crunchyroll.
Yeah. So I remember when this first came out, a lot of people were arguing, is this anime? Is it not anime? I'm not sure what our podcast decided because I don't remember.
I remember us talking about it, and what I remember saying most about it when it came out was, yeah, it's great, and it is. It's absolutely great. And if you haven't seen Shelter, go watch it. It's well worth the 6 minutes of your life that you will spend on it. But I remember saying that when it was over, I felt as though I had watched like someone pitch an anime to me, and I'm like, where is this anime? I want to watch this anime.
Yeah, like I would watch the crap out of this anime. This is a great
Like,
one
I
shot.
watch it, and as amazing as it is, I feel like this is an elevator pitch for an anime that I really want to watch.
But it was just an AMV. It was literally an AMV, a professional AMV.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of amazing how when you start developing the music video portion for the song, that's what makes these more professional. Like you said, they create their own assets. They don't have to use pre-existing ones.
Yeah.
And they can make the story however they want, which makes it a lot better. Not to discount any of the amateur ones, because again, the MEP crossover one does a great job at painting a story too, using specific scenes from different animes. But that's a lot of that's a passion project. It's a lot of effort.
It is. I mean, and you look at this, and if you watch Shelter, you'll see that there's an enormous amount of passion that's put into it from everyone involved, whether it's the animators at A1 that help actually make the music video, or Porter Robinson, who helped write the music. There's just so much passion that was obviously put into this,
and it's just really good. It looks so good. I wish we had more professional AMVs out there, because I honestly I love them.
What I wish is we got more collaborations like this, East and West collaborations.
Yeah, because it's combining strengths from both sides. I just like the meld. I vibe.
Yeah, and there's so many times where this is done where the results are fucking phenomenal, and it boggles my mind that this isn't, especially now since there's such a connection between anime in the East and the West. It boggles my mind that this isn't something that happens on a regular basis now.
And it's funny because speaking of bridging the East and the West, I wanted to bring up Linkin Park's "Breaking the Habit" music video.
Yes.
So
Which
I remember
still to this day, probably my favorite music video of all time.
So I remember watching this back in the early 2000s, and it blew my mind, first of all, because holy crap, here we are again. We've got East meets West. It's anime, but with American music. But it's such a good music video because it reminds me a lot of 90s anime. It's like a 90s anime style, and it really gets the lyrics of the music, Breaking the Habit. When you listen to the lyrics, you listen to what it's actually about. The animation captures it fucking perfectly. It's just, it's so good. It conveys such a powerful message, and animation can be used to convey that really well. It's crazy to me that people still think, oh, anime, that's cartoons and that's for kids. Cartoons aren't just for kids anymore. There's so much more growth. I get that in the 90s, cartoons were more geared towards kids, especially, or in the 80s and the 90s. They're,
even anime in general was more geared toward kids back then.
Yeah,
especially younger people.
So when you see something like Breaking the Habit's music video crossing this border and this line, this animation isn't just for kids. It's crazy.
Yeah. And like you say, you listen to the lyrics of the song, and Chester Bennington, who's no longer with us, it's kind of prophetic listening to it because it's screaming about drug addiction.
Yeah, he's fighting with the demons, man. He's breaking the habit.
But the animation is really interesting because the animation, and I kind of use that in quotation marks. It was made using footage of the band performing the actual song and then rotoscoped on top of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
It does like 2 layers of rotoscoping on top of actual live action footage.
Yeah.
To get an animated, like a sense of animation in it.
That's pretty cool. That explains why it looks so organic and visceral when he moves, when Chester's like breaking down during the main chorus. Oh, that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah. Also produced by Studio Gonzo back when they were actually relevant.
Who?
Exactly.
No, seriously, who? R.I.P. Gonzo.
I mean, they're still around, I think.
Are they? Are they though?
Yeah. I don't really know what they do anymore.
But another AMV that apparently Show talked about, Britney Spears' "Break the Ice" music video.
Yes, yeah. Show was the one that told me about. I had never heard of this until he mentioned it, and then I went and looked it up. Oh my god!
So I didn't even know about it until we started doing the research prior to this, and I watched it. And if you didn't tell me that this was a music video for Britney Spears, I would have been like, "Is this some obscure anime from the '90s? I don't know." Like, it looks like an anime from the 90s that I don't know, that's modeled kind of after Ghost in the Shell or like Ergo
sort of.
Proxy.
You definitely get that vibe from it. The song itself is back from 2008. I don't think the music video was made until 2009. So there's an interesting story as to why this was made. So originally they wanted, because this was a single on the I forget which album it was on now, but this is one of the singles from that album. And originally, obviously, they were going to do a music video for it, because you do in the music industry, at least in the American music industry, if you have a single, that means it's going to be on the radio, and if it's on the radio, it needs to have a music video because it's going to be played on MTV, or if MTV actually played music anymore. But that's the thinking behind it anyway. But the reason this came about is, if you remember, back in 2009, that's when Britney Spears had a little breakdown and shaved her hair off.
I honestly do not recall that.
Well, she shaved all the hair off of her head and had a little breakdown, and then she just kind of went into, she got some therapy and went to go get some help for a little while, which is good. That's what she needed. But obviously she wasn't around to make the music video, so they had to come up with something. So this is what they came up with.
They decided to just make a freaking an AMV. That's great, dude. I loved it. I'd love whoever was like, you know what we should do? Make an AMV. We don't need Britney for that. And then they made it really well. Like,
they did. I mean, it's Britney Spears, so I mean, it's very pop music. It's very, modern.
Yeah, it's kind of weird
pop,
because the animation is clearly like 90s inspired, but it looks great. But the music doesn't really fit with what's happening in the scenes, in my opinion. It's kind of weird what's going on. I guess on a like meta sense, it makes sense if you listen to the lyrics and what's happening. But honestly, I couldn't follow it that much. But props. It looks good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it certainly looks
creative.
good. It looks like something that, like, as you say, could have come out of a 90s anime. And if you didn't tell me otherwise, I might have thought that.
No, I 100% would have thought that if you didn't tell me.
Also kind of goes to point out, I mean, we've learned recently that Britney Spears herself is actually a huge weeb.
There's a lot of stars who are, it's a funny thing. It seems like we've become more open to like the nerd community in general. It's fine to like D&D now. You don't get bullied for liking D&D. It's actually kind of fucking hype to play D&D.
Where was that when I was growing up?
Yeah, exactly. Like
you bitches now think you have it hard. Fuck off.
Like, everyone plays video games in some sense nowadays growing up. Like, it's not a thing that's restricted to people who are nerds anymore. It's kind of just part of everyday life, and it's kind of great that we live in an era right now where it's okay to just like shit like this, to be open, like, oh, you know what I fucking love? Japanese shit. I love, like, look at all the fucking snack services and like those otaku boxes and stuff, how popular those are getting nowadays.
I'm 30 and I still watch cartoons. Yeah, what of it?
Yeah, and it's fine. It's 100% fine now. Like,
yeah.
who cares? And even if people care, like, who cares what they care? As long as you like what you're doing, just do what you want to do. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think, okay, to top this off, I think I want to talk about something that is kind of near and dear, well, not kind of near and dear to your heart, it is near and dear to your heart, and that's Vocaloid.
Yes.
Because that's, I mean, there are people who use Vocaloid, amateurs who use Vocaloid to make songs and to make, music videos that go along with those songs. But it's also done at a professional level because there are Vocaloid tours now that are like, I guess company sponsored that do official Vocaloid songs.
Yeah, so Vocaloid has grown a lot in these last, how long has it been? Hold on. 11? 12 years?
They're about 12? No, 13 years this year, I think.
13? No, maybe. It's been a long time.
I thought last year was the 12th anniversary.
Yeah, I don't know.
I could be wrong on the timeline there, but it's more than 10.
2007. Yeah, this would be the 13th year. You're right. So it's been a long time coming, but Vocaloid is super popular now. I personally, I kind of just put this in here to just talk a little bit about would we consider Miku Miku Dance AMVs? Because it's not technically anime. They're Vocaloids. And it's a program specifically called Miku Miku Dance, which gets used in animation projects for music videos.
And if you look at like amateur projects that use it, they typically won't even put AMV in the title of it. They'll put MMD.
Yeah, because it's kind of a different format. So I just wanted to bring this up in case anyone else was interested in it. Mainly because I was going to segue into my next thing about Livetune, specifically KZ from Livetune, who loves Vocaloid. And they make music. The band Livetune. Can you really call it a band? It's just KZ now. But KZ makes just anime openings. They write songs and all that stuff. But a lot of their earlier projects are actually animated. Like, I remember them doing I believe it was an opening for Devil Survivor 2. Don't quote me on that. It might be an ED. No, it was definitely an OP. And they used the assets from Atlas's like personal artist to make a fucking song. Make a music video for a song, and it was great. It's a professional AMV, and it looks fucking great. If you didn't tell me otherwise, I would have thought it was an actual anime, but I know it's not.
You showed it to me, and I actually asked you, is this from an anime?
Yeah, it's like, no, it uses assets from an anime, like certain character models and stuff from Persona 3 specifically.
It repurposes assets from existing properties for a different purpose.
Yeah, to just make a story for his song, and it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was the Nagi Yanagi thing. So Nagi Yanagi is a very popular Japanese artist. She does music for animes, and she does her own music, mainly weeb music, honestly. If we're being honest here. She got discovered on, I believe, Niku Niku Doga. Don't quote me on that. But
half of people in Japan get discovered anymore.
Well, for anime stuff at least, right?
Yeah.
But I remember watching the World's End song, whatever, Owari no Sakai. I think that's what the song was. And it's Jun Maeda with Yanagi Nagi, and they made a song together. Basically, Jun was,
for those who may not know, Jun Maeda is I mean, he might still be there, I don't know. But was and may still be the head writer at Key, which is a visual novel creator. They did Clannad, Air,
Angel Beats,
thank you.
The most popular one now. It used to be Clannad, but whatever. Anyway, I'm not salty. And anyway, yeah. So basically, Jun Maeda was like, "Yo, this is a sick ass song. Let's make a music video for it." And it's kind of in like a visual novel sense. It's not really an AMV, but it kind of looks like an AMV, or it looks like a promo for a visual novel, is what Alex said.
I mentioned that to you. I'd say it looks like a commercial you might see on, or like a promo, like you said, you might find on Steam for a visual novel you're gonna buy.
And it looks really good. The song's really good, and it's just amazing. I wish that there were more professional AMVs out there.
Yeah, I definitely think this is something where the anime community might look at expanding a little bit and like giving us more of this, less seasonal anime, more of this.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having projects where more studios branch out to like Western audiences and Western creators, and are like, "Hey, do you want to make a professional AMV?" That's so cool. Like, that's so freaking cool.
especially since there are a lot of people, a lot of famous or talented people in the West who have come out recently and said, "Yeah, I'm a freaking weeb."
Yeah, and like, they already do this for Japanese game companies. You look at Persona, for example, and Persona 4, Persona 4 Golden, Persona 5. Like, they have anime cutscenes and stuff in the game now. Like, more game studios are gearing more and more towards the actual anime cutscenes instead of like in-game. Like, they have in-game cutscenes as well, but they're also doing professional cutscenes. Like, I know Blaze Blue does it for a couple of their opening songs where they'll have a professional AMV playing, or they'll have an AMV playing basically before you press start, and it's super cool.
How long until we get like a collaboration between the people who make Black Mirror and Persona?
Never. Hopefully never.
But I think so. To end this, I want to end this on a question for you. Are there any artists or albums out there that you personally would like to see get the professional AMV treatment?
See, off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything. I was gonna throw a funny one out there. Yeah, like Joji. I would love to see Joji stuff in like the rotoscope style, like in Breaking the Habits music video. Like, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'd fucking love that. But yeah, I
also feel like if someone brought him like a proposal for a project like that, he wouldn't say no.
I don't know, man. It's just whatever he's vibing to. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how it is. And the reason I can't really think of anything off the top of my head is because I don't know how I would feel about it until I saw it. Like, I don't have any idea what would enhance the experience of this song or this artist if it was in an AMV. I don't know. I really don't.
I was thinking about this because I wanted to end the podcast with this question. I have an artist in mind, but I think you might, when I say this, you might go like, huh? But Johnny Cash.
What?
Exactly.
What?
So I love Johnny Cash. He's one of my favorite artists ever. I listen to his music all the time, and it's like a lot of it is this really like downbeat, like it's about a lot of these are about a guy who seems like he's been beaten down by everything, and it's like, God, just string some of these songs together and make a story out of it, and then animate it.
I mean, maybe. All I know is we want more. Hear that, America?
Yeah.
Hear that, Japan? We want more professional AMVs.
And more collaboration between Western musicians and anime studios. Just do that.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, it works for JoJo's.
That's true. Shit, we even talk about JoJo's this entire time without like talking about. We should.
I mean, if you think about it, their EDs are kind of like AMVs.
Well, I kind of wanted to avoid that. I was about to say like professional AMV, would that count OPs and EDs? Because I honestly
they kind of are.
They not kind of. They actually are. Like, it's an animation studio that makes a fucking bit, like a minute and 30-second bit for a song. It's definitely a professional AMV. They get paid to do that.
And there's definitely an art to it, to OPs and EDs, which we have done an episode of the podcast about. You should definitely check out at some point.
Yeah.
About the art of OPs and EDs. But on that note, thank you out there for dropping in to listen to us. We hope you enjoyed it because we always enjoy bringing this stuff to you. It was fun talking about a bit of a niche subject like this.
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of... I just remember I watched Sound and Fear and was like, yo, we should do this idea.
Absolutely. If you want to check out previous episodes of the podcast, you can find this on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, BitChute, SoundCloud, and Spotify. If you want to keep up with what we're doing, you can join us on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, and our website. Shoot us an email if you have any questions, or if you have ideas for topics you'd like for us to talk about in the future. Links to all these things will be down below in the description. As always, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, John.
All that's left of you is them gummies.
Oh, fuck.